Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on Sports Illustrated and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast. And today I want to talk to you about double vision with singularity of focus. Double vision with singularity of focus. And I understand that sounds oxymoronic, and we're going to get into that a lot today. But a lot of you are asking me about the franchise. How are they looking at everything coming down the stretch? And I think it's fascinating because the owner, Mark Davis, is focused in entirely on winning. That's where his focus rests because he can't focus on the draft. He doesn't even know where he's going to pick yet. Tom Telesco has to almost have double vision, and I need to explain this. He, like Mark Davis, has his entire attention right now on the team, but yet he's got a staff who are out scouting and doing all of that. So that work's getting done. And that's where the franchise has a double vision. The players, coaches, owner, general manager are all focused on the present season and winning, even when they're out of the playoffs at 2-12. A whole nother component of the franchise is focused purely on future draft and all of that. So that's why I say double vision with singularity of focus because everybody's got to be thinking Raiders, 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 Raiders. One group, total focus on future. One group, total focus on the now. Now, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that because I think Tom Telesco, you can certainly point to Gardner Minshew and say, he hasn't been perfect. Well, nobody is. And I think that the bad performance by Gardner and Aiden had a lot more to do with the offensive coaches that were let go than their performance because they both went backwards. However, it still is germane to point it out. But I also think you have to look at this rookie class, which has been incredibly, incredibly impressive. AP said today, I think there's 22 or 24 first or second year guys playing for the Raiders right now. There is a wealth of experience. And let me just say, nobody wanted this season. I'm not trying to pretend like anyone did. There is no other way to call this season than exactly what it is, which is a complete disappointment. There's no sugarcoating that. It's a complete disappointment. However, in every disappointment, if you can't learn something or gain something from it, then you're probably doomed to repeat it. And so, just don't sit there and wallow in your failures. Look for something that you can gain. And a silver lining in this is there's a ton of young players who've been able to pick up significant minutes and reps who are getting better each and every week. That's where it comes into that principle of double vision and yet singularity of focus. You don't want to be playing some of these guys right now. You wish that Marcus Epps was here so that he and Merrick would be playing and not as much as Isaiah Polamau. Yet IPM is still playing and improving. The Cameron Richardson. All right. This is a guy that, you know what? Ideally, he wouldn't have had to play this year or would have played a lot on special teams like IPM because the Stars were playing well. Didn't happen. Again, injury. But DCAM, despite some of the unbelievable and unfathomable criticism from some fans, is playing very well for a rookie selected where he was and getting better. So I think that's vitally important to understand that when you are a fan, you can be just focused on the future. Don't care about the game. Don't care. Doesn't matter. Don't want to hear it. Just win, baby. Great. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm not mad at you in the least bit for feeling that way. Plus, if I was, who'd care? Didn't matter. But when you're an organization, you can't afford to do that. You still have to keep centered here, looking to the future. You say, why? Okay. They've got to be watching extremely closely the development of these young guys. Why? Because when they get everybody back healthy, then they're going to have to make decisions about Who do they re-sign? Who do they not sign? That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. Then, on top of that, going another step farther, then they got to look at and say, okay, this guy really came along. We're going to have some guys back next year, but now I think he's a key depth piece. So we probably don't have to draft at his position. That's a position we can take off the board. Now, Tom Telesco operates with BPA mentality, best player available. And so as he begins then when the season's over to develop his draft board, then he has to look at, okay, best player available. Now, here is where the fascinating twist comes. There is no mandate from Mark Davis. I have told you that, and I'm reiterating that. He has not mandated that the Raiders go pick a quarterback with the number one pick. I know that for 100% factual. I know that. Okay. So then the Raiders have to make the decision. And I am sure, and he should, Tom Brady's going to have a big impact on this discussion. Is there a quarterback at the Raiders' number one pick, if they get one, that they believe is best player available? If not, is there a guy they think worthy of one that they're willing to trade up and go get? If not, then who's available wherever they pick as the BPA? And then how do you go address the quarterback situation, which the Raiders aren't going to be competitive until they get it fixed? Now, I spoke to AP today, and we'll have the video of the press conference and the audio for you to go watch. But I spoke to AP today and I asked him, your team is 2-12. So the natural knee-jerk reaction is the whole team's bad, blow up the whole team. But the problem is there is a bunch of injuries and your quarterback play has not been well. And in this league, bad quarterback play can make a team look a lot worse than what it is, and good quarterback play can cover a lot of warts. And he agreed that while all the losing is not entirely on the quarterbacks, the turnovers have been brutal for the team. That's my whole point. I don't think that this is the most talented Kansas City Chief team at all, but they may win a Super Bowl. I don't think they will, but they may. And Patrick Mahomes covers a lot of that. Okay. Josh Allen and the Bills, they're not the most talented team in the NFL. Quarterback play helps them. Let's go to the Eagles. They may be the most talented team in the NFL. In fact, I would make the argument if I was in a debate class and I was assigned to make the argument, I think I could make it easily. And I think having to make an argument that they aren't would be very difficult. And although I like Jalen Hurts, at times when they haven't been at their best, when has that happened? Quarterback play. And this league is a quarterback driven league, just like in hockey. Once you get to the playoffs, a goalie can make the big difference. Okay. You'll see it in baseball. A pitcher will be that guy that makes that big difference. And so I think that that's the where the Raiders have to be with double vision, singularity of focus. Everybody's vision. So I can tell you from AP to the players to Mark Davis, Tom Telesco coaches, everybody's vision is how does this team get better with 3 games left and try to win 3 games? Okay, it's improving the Raiders. The other side has to look at, okay, how do they, through the draft and free agency, improve the team? Everybody's singularity of focus has to be improving the Raiders, but there's double vision. And that's what I mean by that. And I think one of the things that has come through, I'll tell you, yesterday in the locker room, I spent a lot of time with Adam Butler and Jonah Lalalu, who I have a really I think if you asked Adam, he would say that we're friends. We have a great relationship. And I can tell you one of the things that has really um, showed me a lot being in that locker room is just simply how they've handled themselves, how they come back into work, Again, I'm shocked. I'm going to be very blunt with you. If you had told me before the year that this team would be 2-12, I would have told you that there would have been a lot of finger pointing and a lot of backbiting behind the scenes, and the thing had exploded. And so you're sitting here with a 2-12 team with a 22 to 24 first and second year guys playing, 14 guys out, literally 14 guys out for the year. And it's no finger pointing. It's just, all right, what are we going to do to get better? What are we going to do to get better? You see it with Scott Turner, who on one hand is having to prepare two game plans. What happens if they go with Desmond? What happens if they go with, Aiden? Because Desmond cannot play under center. And under center is where this offense wants to be. Now, several of you have emailed me when I've mentioned that in the past and asked, if that's the case, why sign a Desmond Ridder? And I think that's a fair question, except I think you need to know that it's a fair question for sure. But it's also understanding they felt like he would bring something to the table if they had to play him that could give them a spark. So I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with that. Um, but in that locker room, those guys are all talking about themselves. Let me give you a great one. It is no secret that Jack Jones had a phenomenal training camp. He had a great year last year. And a lot of people emailed me and says, why are the Raiders not signing him to a long-term deal? And I said last year, tap the brakes. He was only here half a year. He looked great, but let the thing play out all through the offseason, all through training camp. He looked amazing to the point that almost every day in practice, he's getting interceptions. And I thought he was ready to take the step to the next level of an all-pro. And I was not the only one, by the way, who felt that way. But he hasn't played like an all-pro. And so when you talk to him, okay, this is an example of team maturity. For example, last game against Atlanta, he made a really bad play and he got burned bad. So you have to ask him about it. And what's his answer? His answer was, um, you know what? I, I I saw a chance. I took a risk. Bad risk. All me. Okay. You're 2-11 at that point, and you're trying to make a play to get some points on the board. Okay. If they were, sitting there at 11-2, maybe you question that. But it's a learning experience for the youngster. He goes in there, he realizes, you know what, I made a mistake. AP said today he plays his best football when he just does his job, not trying to create. But with a corner like him, you get big explosive plays. Sometimes you miss, sometimes you don't. It's like with Deion Sanders. There were, everyone remembers how well he played, and you should. He's the best corner of all time. No one compares to Deion Sanders, period. But people forget he had misses. Michael Jordan. I remember one time watching courtside, him in a game where he missed a shot. His team lost a game. Okay. People don't remember those about Michael because he's the best basketball player of all time, period. And you youngsters want to tell me, anyone from today's generation, don't email me. I don't want to hear it. Older people want to talk about Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain. Yeah, I'm down with that conversation. I think it's a fair one. But don't try to put LeBron or anyone else in that. Anyone else in that. It's Jordan. Or I could see Wilt or Bill. But my point to you is they still miss shots. Everyone knows Hank Aaron and Babe Ruth as great home run hitters, but both struck out a lot. The point is that when you're now 2-12, you got to have double vision, singularity of focus. And so when you're looking at these guys taking shots, doing things to try to make something happen, you know what? That's what happens on bad football teams. Guys who, when they haven't quit, are doing extra to try to make plays. And in this league, that's when you get burned. In this league, you really pay a price when you give up on your job trying to do something and it's not there. And it's just not there. So I think as the Raiders move forward into this weekend, I can tell you they are 100% on board to winning. That is their focus. That is their objective. That is everything that they want to do. They are in total unanimity. I have never seen a team this disappointing of a season like that. And it's a little shocking. To be very frank, I've never seen it. So it's a unicorn to me. And so I expect them to, I don't, it's not like it's going to be a big Jacksonville crowd, and Raider Nation's going to, be there, and they're going to be loud. And when the team has a chance to win, there's going to be people with the tanking signs and all that. And I get it, but they're going to be fighting, scratching, clawing to win. And I know a win will probably, this is a probable here, drop them to about seventh, depending on how some other things play out, could drop them to seventh, maybe fifth in the draft pick. But that's the focus of the other side of the room getting ready for the draft, not the focus of the uh, main side, which is all about winning today. So when you ask me to take you inside the building here where I'm at now and kind of take you inside the mindset, that's literally what it is. Dual vision, singularity of focus. And everybody is just doing their job. Nobody's quitting. Nobody's mad. Everybody's just doing their job. They're all disappointed, but nobody's quitting. Nobody's mad. It's singularity of vision. Excuse me, singularity of focus while possessing double vision. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow.